Yes.
Which I'll come to you. You know, for lack of a better word, Malile says the public participation looked disorganized to some extent. But isn't this also a result of Kenyans not always being given an opportunity to participate in whether it's bills or motions that go through the National Assembly? And so the one time they get that opportunity, it concerns the deputy president and the impeachment, and this was an opportunity for them to as well as voice their concerns on the regime and some of the policies that have been passed.
Well, that's a very good question. And as you can see, I have the Kenyan Constitution with me here,
Right.
because we must make reference to the Constitution.
Yes.
And see where Kenyans have acted constitutionally, or parliamentarians have acted constitutionally, even the president himself, whether he has acted in accordance to the Constitution, and the deputy president himself. These are the subjects in the case. Now, if I would, you asked me about the public participation, right?
Right.
Public participation to the parliamentarians was an afterthought. Ignorant of the reality that they are acting on delegated powers, delegated sovereign power, according to Article 1 of, Chapter 1, Article 1, which speaks of the sovereign power. Who owns it? It is the Kenyan. Now, when you go, like for instance, I give you, I employ you, or employ you to be an attendant in my shop, or a manager in my shop, and then we begin to make some profits. Then all of a sudden, without even consulting the owner, you go and set up a new shop, thinking that the boss will be happy with you, and then ask the boss, what do you expect me to do, because I had already invested that money into this other shop. It's all yours. But you see, the boss will ask you, did you consult me? Right. And that's what Kenyans were asking them last Friday. Did you take time to think that we are your boss? Parliamentarians, as it has always been, you get into parliament. The other day we were dealing with their attitude and mindset of nitawafanyia, na utatufanyia na pesa yetu, so wacha kutuambia utatufanyia vile tutafanya na pesa yetu. Right. Because you can't use it, spend it alone, you spend it with us. So you see, that kind of pride is what really drove Kenyans into that kind of a wedge. So Kenyans draw a line that beyond this, we can't take it no more. And contrary to what he said, majority came. Actually, majority were bundled in buses and taken to places like Bomas, thinking that we have our supporters in it. But when they tried to close that meeting at noon, remember it was supposed to go at up to 5. When they tried to close the meeting at noon, I remember an honorable member of parliament, TJ Kajwang, trying to say it's now that we have now come to the end of the event. And the Kenyans had not yet spoken. They had only given their special ODs, great speeches as members of parliament. But they never thought that Kenyans were smarter. So whether they were compromised or not with or given allowances, they were there, but they went ahead and spoke their mind. And Nairobi, what had been brought to the TV is that it was a very organized meeting until noon. But when Kenyans demanded, we must speak now, that's when hell broke loose. Now, it was the same in every other county. Why? Kenyans are not stupid. They are wise, clever, they're informed. They brought in documents. First, let's agree, and Parliament must tell us who printed the documents for purposes of exonerating them from manipulation of the exercise. If it was printed by the parliamentarians, designed by the parliamentarians, and delivered by under the watch of the parliamentarians, then it is a sham. Now, it is said that this document actually did not bear the serial number, any serial number. Secondly, in this kind of exercise, it is spelled very well out in the Constitution how any form of balloting should be done. You do it, and for you to be transparent and honest with what you're doing, you must declare the results right there at the voting center. Now, they brought these things with cartons of kasuku, and I'm not promoting them in the station. They have not paid for it, but these are products, food products. I could see kasuku, toast, all these kind of type of boxes. I could see them collecting the ballots. If they came with the IEBC ballot boxes, it would have made some sense to Kenyans.
Are you poking holes into the
Yes, I am.
public participation?
I am. It was all a sham. It was an afterthought. It was, yes, we have declared that Rigiji, or the deputy president, and if it was another deputy president sitting in that office, and an exercise is carried in that manner, I would still say, because this is against any deputy president who would sit in that office of deputy presidency. Now, if you have already cast the dice in parliament, then you come to tell us, the owners of the power that have delegated it to you, that, hey, now what do you guys say? You've already cast the dice. Now, they came with the document. Now, I have told you about how they had planned to do it. Nairobi was supposed to end at noon. It was on TV, live. But it was supposed to go up to 4 or 5. Okay? Now, that tells you one thing. The MPs were trying to manipulate. After all, Nairobi MPs who had attended had spoken. Now they made sure now we can begin the exercise. So you just had to pick some people, the person in blue and a cream jacket, pick that guy, you know, the gentleman in specs with whatever, that guy should speak. You know, he knows a few people, just the way some preachers do, you know, the fake preachers, the way they do it. They know who shall come to give the testimony. You've seen this happening. Now, this is what the parliamentarians acted like while they accused the fake preachers. They took their strategy. Now, the documents were collected in the wrong boxes. Take that. Lack of involvement of IBC Secretariat. The lack of IBC commissioners does not mean the Secretariat or the IBC itself is dead. It is in existence with a Secretariat that can organize itself and mobilize itself through whatever means. So the impeachment, if it was to include public participation, you're talking about not less than 20 million voters. It's around close to 20 million voters. These people, you don't give them just a few hours to come and give their say. It must be organized by people who handle such matters. In any case, these are people who came into power through an electoral process. Why would you disqualify the IEBC? Those are points to ponder.
To what extent should the IBC Secretariat have been involved in this particular process?
You see, one, even the printing of the documents, to make it kind of fair, you know. If the IBC did it, of course, they outsourced for whatever printing. If the IBC took place, they would have outsourced for printers. But in this case, this must have been done in parliament buildings where, have printers running there. And it is their issue anyway. And it is said that they were given, according to our dailies today, that they were given a specific number to have. Now, people who have participated even in the electoral exercise, general elections electoral exercise, they will tell you, even ballot boxes from IEBC, they find their way into the hands of candidates and ballot papers are bundled in it. Okay, if anyone has a problem with that, I can make reference to what is on record in 2012, where I participated as a chief agent in Uthaya constituency. Now leave that one. Anyone who has a problem can make reference to that. Now come back to this. No, I'm being very realistic on this. The IEBC ought to have been involved because the IEBC would have been the neutral guy here. Would have been seen as the neutral fellow, mediating between the opinion of the parliamentarians versus the opinion of the Kenyans. Now, two ways of voting is done by parliament itself and is actually acceptable in this country's constitution and laws. Don't ask me where, but I know it works because I see it works. One is voting by ballot and two is voting by acclamation. Acclamation is when you declare loudly that this is what we want. When you watch the TV stations, all of them, and when you went through the social media platforms, be they X, be they whatever, you saw that Kenyans were angry and bitter.
All right, and we'll
that explains to you that if you were to do any form of count, then they would have obtained serious information from what he calls the silent Kenyans. The silent Kenyans were in social media. The vocal Kenyans appeared in the voting centers where they discovered all those shortcomings that I've explained. So what the parliamentarians are doing to us is an injustice. And that is why I'm saying that Kenyans had to be very, very enraged by the act.